Juris Vodcast with Scott Pearce.
The Supreme Court has limited the death penalty for the third time in 6 years. This time, in a case called Kennedy v. Louisiana, the court held it unconstitutional to impose the death sentence on somebody convicted of raping a child. 3 years ago, the court held it unconstitutional to execute somebody for a crime committed before the age of 18, and 3 years before that, the court spared the lives of mentally retarded convicts. It's also worth noting that the court struck down the death sentence for rape of an adult back in 1977. Although the case was decided on a 5-4 split, both the majority opinion, written by Justice Kennedy, and the dissent, written by Justice Alito, are unemotional and rational. Basically, the majority argues that the evolving standards of decency make the death penalty cruel and unusual punishment for a crime that doesn't result in the death of the victim. The dissent claims that there is no national consensus against imposing the death penalty on child rapists. I doubt if either the majority opinion or the dissent are likely to cause anybody to change their minds about the death penalty. Even so, they are both well worth reading and thinking about. I have never tried a death penalty case, but I have been in court during various pretrial hearings about death cases. Any sensitive person can't help but notice how the atmosphere in court changes, how the various law enforcement officials, especially the men, glare at the defendant with the dispassionate hate of ruthless, violent guard dogs. I found it repellent, so it should come as no surprise that if I had a vote on the Supreme Court, I would have America join the rest of the civilized world and abolish the death penalty. I do agree with the majority that the trend appears to be against the death penalty. Across the country, we are seeing the death penalty begin to fade away, even as we continue to imprison an unprecedented number of people. Many citizens and government officials have been surprised and horrified to discover so many innocent people sitting on death row, convicts who end up being able to prove their factual innocence of the crimes they were sentenced to die for. Plus, the death penalty is extremely expensive, both financially and emotionally. It's not worth it. Killing is wrong. The death penalty does nothing other than degrade everybody involved.
Juris Vodcast is a production of Nuclear Podcasting. Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives.